Welcome to the Better Together podcast, where we look for ways we can work together to advance the cause of Jesus Christ. Today, we have with us Miss Mandy Mitchell. She's the executive director of the Alabama Free Baptist Children's Home. Miss Mandy, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you've been in the executive director since 2016. You've actually been at the Children's Home since 2011. Tell us a bit about the history of the Alabama Children's Home. You guys have an anniversary that's coming up, right?
We're celebrating this year our 75th year of ministry. And everything kind of began in 1941. A group of Free Will Baptist men from Alabama decided they wanted to take seriously James chapter 127, where it talks about visiting and caring for the fatherless and the widows in their affliction. And it's actually kind of interesting, what they did was they met together and they decided they wanted to purchase land for this. And it was an orphanage at the time, and they created what they called an orphanage committee. And they were looking at some land in Jasper, but then they came across some land here in Walker County. We're in the absolute middle of nowhere. You wouldn't be coming to Eldridge unless you were trying to. And there was actually a school here on the property. There were two different schools, and because of where it is at the location, it just never took off. So there were a couple of buildings here already, about 8 acres of land, and they put a mortgage on it for $5,000. And what's interesting to me is how they decided to fund the children's home at the time. In 1944, in their association meeting, they said, if every Alabama Free Will Baptist Church would send 10 cents per member per month, and $5 per year for deacon and pastors, that's how they were going to fund the children's home.
Wow.
It really is something. And so they opened the doors in 1947. And from then on, the Lord really blessed the ministry. And over the years, we estimate that we've worked with about 1,100 children.
Wow, that's great. So those dimes and dollars later, they went a long way. A lot of things were going on in 1944, coming out of the Great Depression, World War II, but they were focused on some of the needs of some of the children there in their community.
And they mentioned that in, their records. They actually met the day before Pearl Harbor was attacked in 1941.
Wow.
And they talk about, how wonderful it was that God blessed the beginning of this ministry, that they were able to pay off the mortgage during World War II before the children's home even opened. And so they definitely give the Lord glory for that.
So you mentioned over the years, it looks like 1,100 children have been ministered to. These children come, and I'm sure it's changed over the years, but they come with some major needs, don't they?
They do. When the children's home started and we were more like an orphanage, back in the 40s and 50s, there were just a lot of larger families back then. And if you had a parent that had either passed away or one that had issues where they could not take care of children, whether it be mental health issues or alcohol and drug issues, one parent just couldn't do it on their own. So children would come here, and there were a lot of sibling groups back then, which we still have sibling groups. And, over the years, sometimes I think the most that was here at one time was about 80 children. So, the needs were a little bit different. But then, as we get closer, as you get into the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and even I just think about from when I was a child, the family has changed so much, and the issues that each family has have changed so much, and especially the drug and alcohol usage in our country. That is really, I think, where the breakdown of the family begins. And that's the core root of why our children are here. Most of the time, it's alcohol or drug use for the families, some mental health, things like that. And the children, they have just grown up in chaos, and they have raised themselves and have not had a lot of guidance, have not been taught simple things. And so when they come to us, we're kind of having to start over with parenting. And it's tough, especially as we have children that are coming here as teenagers. Sometimes we're not always able to get through to them to kind of get them on the right path. So it's definitely a challenge. There's a lot of anger that these kids have from being abandoned. And no matter how terrible their home situations are, and I could tell you some stories about some pretty pitiful situations, most of them would still rather be with their family, no matter what. So of course, we deal with that too. So there's just a lot of issues that they're challenged with.
So it's shifted over the years. Mom, dad's dying, and even some mental health issues in the previous years. But now, a lot of alcohol, a lot of substance abuse, and you're mentioning the kids they come with a lot of issues. You do have a pretty good group of people there, though, working with with these children. Maybe talk a little bit about your house parents and what they bring to the table. It's probably a couple of 100 years of experience, don't they?
We do. We have an exceptional staff here, especially our house parents. And, the home is what it is because of them. They're the direct service, the ones who are really doing the hard work. And it's not easy. This is a ministry to them. Just like, pastors and missionaries, this is a mission work, and that's the way that they see it. This is their service to the Lord. And we have several house parents here who have pretty much dedicated most of their adult life to working with kids. And that was one of the things I wanted to mention as far as over the years. When I was talking with our secretary yesterday, Gina, she's worked here for 42 years. And we just have such longevity here. And we have one house parent who has been here for over 30 years. Her name is Judy McKinney. And if you meet anyone that you say, I work at the children's home, she's like, oh, well, is Judy still there? And as I was talking with Gina, there were two other ladies over the years that each worked here as house parents for 30 years, over 30 years apiece. So at any point since we started in 1947, there has been a wonderful, strong woman with a lot of experience helping kids. And we have two single house parents right now. They're single women. And Judy, like I said, has been doing this for over 30 years, and Lynn's been doing it for over 20. And Judy came to me, I guess it was a couple of months ago, and there was a little boy. She's the house parent for the little boys. There was a little boy she was having some issues with, and it actually was that his issues were greater than what we could manage, and we had to request that he be moved. And she said, I feel like maybe I'm not good enough sometimes because I'm single. Maybe there needs to be a mom and a dad. And I told her, I said, there are some situations, of course, it's always best to have a mom and a dad, but with her experience and with her, just what she does as a house parent, knowing what to do, I said, Judy, I wouldn't trade you for anybody, for any couple, because she's just so good. And I think one of the things that makes a house parent so good, what makes her so good, she's been doing this for over 30 years. Yeah. She's been doing this for longer than I've been working in the field, and she still has questions. She still comes to me wanting advice, wanting to know how to handle things. And I think that's the key probably to doing anything well, is to not assuming that you have all the answers. And not that I always have all the answers either, but it's always good to get with someone and get input and brainstorm. And so that's really the key to a good house parent. But our staff, they're just very dedicated to what they do. It's a 24/7 job. They live here on campus. They do, of course, get time off, but they are the parents for the kids. And some of the kids really love that, and they love being in really what is a more normal home situation than what they've ever had. There are some that resent it. They're like, well, you're not my mom, you're not my dad, and you're trying to be like one. And that's hard for them. And there are some kids that come here that are tougher cases. And then there are some that are more resilient, that are able to kind of just go, more easily along with our program. And our house parents, they battle through all of it. There's blessings every day, but there's also challenges every day.
That's great. So we need to pray for these house parents is what Absolutely. I'm picking up. And they are quite unique people. They've given their lives to this. As you mentioned, they are loving and dedicated and wanting to continue to learn as well. So we pray for them. What are some other things we can do to support the Alabama Free Will Baptist Children's Home?
Well, one thing is I have several house parents that are probably going to be retiring in the next 5 or 6 years. And so we really need some people interested in serving in a ministry like this. people that can see this as a possibility of really serving the Lord. So really pray that the Lord will send us some staff over the next several years to keep the place going. And the Lord has done that, since I've been here over these years. The Lord has always sent us exactly who we need at the right time. And so I pray that He'll continue to do that. Also just, of course, praying for us, praying for the kids. The kids are just hurting in ways that most of us who have been raised in church and have good families just don't understand. And, they really need prayers. Also, financial support. We are 100% dependent on the generosity of others. We're not state funded, we're not government funded, and it's really amazing how we have been able to survive, over these years. As I was talking with my secretary yesterday about, the early years, there in the early years, the children's home struggled for a long time. It was month to month with being able to buy groceries, being able to buy coal back when we had, the coal furnaces, being able to buy shoes for the kids. It was constantly a struggle. And then kind of in the 90s, the administration at the time really did a push with getting more churches involved. And even outside of our denomination, we receive support across the country, and we're so thankful for that. And it's helped us to be able to expand our ministry. We're able to provide more for our kids. We never have to worry about if we have enough money to buy shoes. We do. If we have to, fix something, we're able to let the house parents take the kids on a vacation every year. A lot of them have never even left their county, so they can go see the beach for the first time, go to the mountains. We even had, this week, our kids are on spring break. One of the houses, they took the kids up to the Creation Museum and to the Ark, and so they were able to do that, which was really great for them. And also a few years ago, we were able to hire a full-time counselor. So we have a full-time counselor on our staff that works with our kids and also works with the community. We are able to offer counseling to anyone in our community that's willing to come, and it's at a very discounted rate. We're not doing it to make money, we're doing it to be a service to others. And that is one thing we'd like to expand, in the years to come. We'd like to hire another counselor and really expand that ministry with helping families.
That's great. And you have groups that come in and bring toys, the Eldridge Toy Run. You want to give them when that takes place? Because that's a cool way to participate, isn't it?
It is. We just celebrated our 20th year of our toy run, and when they started it, they would have never dreamed that it would become what it did. It started with just a few people that became interested in wanting to do more. And I've learned a lot about motorcycle riders since I've worked here. Didn't know much about them before, but they're a very giving group of people. And the first year they came, they raised about $7,000 for us. And this past year, we broke a record. We raised over $150,000 for our general fund. So it's really been amazing. But it's the biggest motorcycle ride, I believe, in the state, possibly even neighboring states too. But they come on the first Saturday of December every year. And this past year, we had, I think, over 600 motorcycles, over 75 antique cars, and they come to our campus. Groups of people do wish lists for our kids. So our kids get to make a really nice list of things they want for Christmas, and groups fill those requests. So it's our kids' favorite day of the year as well. And it's just wonderful to see. I think we had over 2,000 people this last year to come and be here on our campus that are interested in what we do and just want to be a part of it.
That's great. Well, hey, thank you for joining us today, Miss Mandy, and thank you for sharing with us about the Alabama Free Baptist Children's Home. We appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
And we want to thank you, our listeners. We encourage you to take this podcast, share it with someone you know that might be interested. And remember, when we work together, we truly are better together. Thank you for joining us today.